So the left are fine with you being a Christian as long as you support Black Lives Matter and you're a feminist and you support LGBTQT Mark Arson, come in Orson, Mark Carling Orson, come in Orson, shribbity, shiggity, big bat and boot, boot, GPT, boot, boot, riggy, chat and boot, beat and see, boot, boot, gay, and boot, bat, lesbian, and boot, bat, trans boy, and boot, gat, gay boy, gat, boot, 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 bat, bisexual, gat, plus, as long as you support that, and as long as you are like, climate change is destroying the world, we need to stop doing things, we need to stop living, because otherwise we'll die. As long as you're on board with all of that and you hate Trump and, you know, you're super anti anything right wing, you're allowed to be Christian. You're allowed to believe in your little sky daddy. You're allowed. In fact, they, you know, like I said, they want to take over the church. They want to take over and have gay marriage and female priests and all of this. The real reason that the left are against the church is because religion states that there's actually such thing as moral right and wrong. And the left reject that notion. They think that we just made up what's right and what's wrong, and anyone can just make up their own morality. They just want to make up their own rules. So that's the fundamental difference in the ideology between left and right. So because Christianity does hold this belief that there's such thing as actual right and wrong, and the left want to do away with that because they want to be God. And they want to be able to change what right and wrong is from day to day, whatever suits them at the time. The left don't want to be obstructed by this little thing called objective truth. It's very inconvenient for them. The truth is whatever they say it is at any given time. So for this reason, the left do see the church as a big problem, a big obstruction that they need to like get rid of. It's actually written in the Communist Manifesto that the first thing you need to do to take over is eradicate religion. Because when people believe in God and they believe in a higher power, they tend to stay more loyal to that than they will to any other man. So you can't really rule over that person as long as they believe in God. You have to get rid of God for you to be able to become God. So the Communist Manifesto actually instructs that you have to eradicate religion. And if you're wondering why the lefties will have Christians on their side, well, because they're sort of corrupting them and making them do things that go against the religion, like have gay marriage and female priests and stuff. And if you're wondering why the left will adore Muslims and, you know, have them as their best friends, it doesn't really make any sense, because they're even more religious than most Christians around here. But the reason why they have them on their team is because they actually share a goal. Because that's another thing that's instructed in the Communist Manifesto, is that you should team up with anyone that shares a goal with you, even if they don't share the same goals across the board. So you should just team up with them until you achieve that goal and then ditch them later. This has actually been tried before, but what happens is when you team up with the Muslims to take over, by the end of it, the Muslims take over. They end up tossing you aside. You can't really use them as a team member ally, but the lefties are trying. So anyway, the same goal that they share is to tear down the Christian church. The Muslims want to do that, and the commie little lefties want to do that too. So that's why they're best friends with Muslims, and they defend them all day, because they have freedom to practice their religion while they attack the church, the Christian church. So this is why that contradiction exists. It's because they're just using the Muslims to achieve a goal. But ultimately, if they carry on like that, they'll end up getting just executed by the Muslims. It won't work. So no, you don't have any examples of right-wingers trying to censor people and take away their free speech. Censorship is a left-wing thing because they need to rub out right-wing thought for their thoughts to dominate, because they can't win debates, they can't win people over, they don't appeal to anyone. When you have everything available to you, the left-wing ideas don't shine through. They look stupid. So they have to just smear it across everything. But the tactics of doing it it's always going to end up looking like what it is, which is you're just trying to elbow everyone else out the way, and it's not fair. And you can just keep banging on about democracy, but we know you don't care about democracy. Okay, you can't really afford to really care about democracy and really be democratic, because all things considered, you would never get voted in. That's why you always have to sneak your way to the top. Oh, speaking of sneaking your way to the top, I forgot. There is one other example of right-wingers trying to censor people and cancel people and deperson people. It's called Mccarthyism, which is when the right wing tried to rub out communists. But in that example, that was actually that was real Soviets coming over. That wasn't like, we think you're a communist. That's not like when they go, you're a Nazi. Why? Because you said something that doesn't go along with our shit. But they're not a Nazi though, are they? And in McCarthyism, they only actually, there was only like a handful of people that were the communists. It wasn't like, we're just going to call everyone communists that doesn't go along with our shit. We're talking about like 100 or 200 people. Actual communists. In the 1940s, like the Soviet Union. Yeah, them coming over and infiltrating, and we had to weed them out. And yes, that would have been the right wing, hunting down extreme leftists, but they actually are extreme leftists. They actually are a threat. We're not just going, we're going to watch everything everyone says. And we didn't have the internet back then. Yeah, we're going to watch everything that everyone says on the internet, and you better be in line with us. That's not what was happening. That's what the left are doing all the time now. So yeah, you might get a lefty go, what about McCarthyism? If you let the right get in power, they're going to just call everyone communists and they're going to censor them. No. That's not what that's an example of. It's just like, just take a look at yourselves and what you're doing. And also, you change the rules every 5 seconds to fit your agenda. It's just... And one person could break the rules and you let them off, and another person breaks the rules and they're a Trump supporter, so they can't get away with it. Yeah. You think you're so clever, we can just see what you're doing. Fuck off. So when that idea runs out, it's like COVID is a godsend because, like I said, it's not political. Well, it's not supposed to be political, but they made it political within seconds. And they thought they had it so well covered. Like, no, it's nothing to do with lefties or righties or... No, this is science. It's just science. Meanwhile, every scientist that you see on TV is a big fat lefty politically. That's who they are. But just think of every famous scientist where you know who they are and you've seen them in interviews and you've heard them speak. Which one of them is a Trump supporter? Yeah, there isn't one. What, do you think that there's no scientists that are Trump supporters? No, you're just not allowed to hear them speak on TV. It's like... Do you think they don't exist? This is what I mean by the illusion. That they're trying to create an illusion that everyone is left-wing, especially smart people. All the smartest people are left-wing. All the smartest people hate Trump. And only toothless, brain-dead hillbillies like Trump. Honestly, if you actually go and check out the alternative media that you're not allowed to look at because it's so right-wing and dangerous, some of the smartest people you've ever heard speak in your life are right-wing and they're religious. And I know that the culture and everything you see on TV is telling you that right-wingers are always either evil, hateful, sort of, they're Derek Vineyard from the film American History X. They might be smart, but they're just so hateful and full of evil that you can't listen to them for 5 seconds because they're just vile, horrible people. Or they're the biggest dumbasses on the planet, and religious people are just so stupid. That's why they believe in a stupid god, like a sky daddy. And it's honestly, it's pretty eye-opening. So I used to kind of think like that. I used to think that religious people were stupid. And it's like their little Santa Claus thing. I used to think that. It was Adam Carolla, who is an atheist. Adam Carolla is an atheist. But he pointed out something that I was like, oh my God, he's right. he said that he used to be, well, he is still an atheist, but he said he used to like think that religious people were just all dumbasses. They're all stupid. Then he said he went to university and he met loads of people and he's got into podcasting and broadcasting and he's just spoken to so many people and interviewed people and stuff. And he just said he woke up one day, just realised that all the smartest people he's ever met are religious. It's just something worth thinking about. It's worth taking notice of because you just sort of get this stereotype in your head of, you know, smart, sensible, realistic people are atheist. And religious people are sort of these, you know, they're living in a dream world. And it's like, well, just because they believe in God doesn't mean that they don't understand the world that they're living in. They can be very smart people. But yeah, when it comes to politics, like, if you go and listen to a bunch of right-wing commentators and then go back and listen to all the lefties that you were listening to before, you're like, oh my God, these people are so smart. And these other people just all churn out the same thing. My favourite thing is progressivism. Being progressive. This is very sneaky in a lot of ways. A progressive is like a super left-wing, sort of far-left type twat that's, you know, the thought police, this is what I'm talking about. They're progressives. Being progressive is just hilarious because A, you think you can just label yourself with a positive. You know, progress is a good thing, isn't it? You're making progress. This is good. Progress is synonymous with the word improvement, isn't it? If something progresses, if you're like learning something and you're progressing, you're like getting better at it, aren't you? So when you progress, you're improving. So to just call yourself progressive is to imply that all of your ideas are progress, and if you don't agree with my ideas, then you're going backwards. You're bad. It's just so like, I can't believe people are getting away with like calling themselves this with a straight face, and people actually, you know, respect this thing. Like, yeah, you're progressive. I'm progressive. Yeah. But it's not just that. It's the whole progressive thing. It's also a way that they can just get away with contradicting themselves all the time. They don't have to be consistent. They can just completely change with the wind all the time. They can just change. Because if someone says something and then like a year later they say the complete opposite, it's like, wait a minute. You must have not meant what you said back then, or you don't mean what you're saying now, or what changed, or what's going on. It's like, no, what? Do you really believe in what you're saying? But if you're progressive, your whole thing is you're all about change. And, you know, you're constantly trying to change things and progress things and improve things. So you don't have to stick to anything. Because you don't have to acknowledge that you just contradicted yourself. You can just go, no, I'm moving with the times. No, I'm all about change. I'm all about progress. Of course I change what I say all the time. That's me progressing. So they can just chop and change their point of view every 5 minutes, and it's not hypocrisy, it's progress. And if you point out the hypocrisy, they just say that you're scared of change and you're just stuck in your ways and you can't deal with the change and you need to move with the times. So yeah, I am going to get into 2020, COVID, the election denial, all of that shit. We're talking about freedom of speech. And yeah, I just went off on a tangent for about an hour about religion. But, you know, you can't really talk about religion for like 1 minute. It's quite, you know, everything I'm talking about has massive, broad, in-depth detail, so many complications. I knew as I sat down to do this, it was going to take fucking forever. I'm talking about freedom of speech. There's infinite things to say. As I said at the very, very beginning, I made my case within 1 minute. I said freedom of speech is the most important thing. If you think something else is more important, imagine if you weren't allowed to talk about that thing. Yes, so your ability to be able to speak about that thing is more important than any other thing, isn't it? So I made the case in 1 minute. It's your fault if you've listened this long. But yeah, I'm going to take ages talking about everything, aren't I? Because I'm talking about everything. Everything that's happening. But yeah, my whole point with that religious rant is, the only examples you've got of right-wingers trying to censor people, whenever it's like the religious right or all of this shit, all the examples you've got are, anything pre-year 2000. Because I remember, like, Bill Hicks, the comedian, did a appearance on David Letterman, and it got cancelled because he took the piss out of Christians. And Stuart Lee, the comedian, did a big show, like a big play about Christianity, taking the piss out of Christianity. And I can't remember if it actually got shut down or if they just protested it or they tried to shut it down or something. It's like, yeah, anything like before the internet took over, the whole problem with TV and like the world stage was very gatekeeperish. You had to like get in and be allowed on, and it sucked. Which is why you'd always get these underground things going on of like people being able to do what they want, say what they want. Because of the gatekeepers. You had to know someone. It's all who you know. That's how you get on TV and get in shit, showbiz. But this is the whole point. Since the internet is this thing where anyone can start a channel, anyone can do anything, anyone can say anything. And it was like that for a while. Between the year 2000 and sort of up until the 2000 teens, the internet was just growing and growing into this thing where anyone can just like start anything and say anything. And then at some point it started creeping in where we're going to control this and sort of make it like TV. Just think how much the internet is like the TV used to be. The internet was supposed to be not like that. Even just the fact you try to sit down and watch a YouTube video but it gets interrupted every 5 seconds with ads. And it used to be that you used to be able to skip it after 3 seconds. Now it's like 30 seconds, a minute. And in that minute, they'll show like multiple ads. It feels like you're watching TV again. And then now you've got these gatekeepers going, well, you're not allowed on here. You can't say that on there. You can't. It's like, fuck off. The internet was all about getting away from that. So, who's controlling that? Who's the gatekeepers doing this? And what is their agenda? What is the rules? What is going on? That's what I'm talking about here. And I'll tell you who it isn't. It isn't the right wing. It isn't Christians trying to stop you from saying things and trying to control the conversation and trying to rub out one idea just so that their idea looks like the only idea available, and trying to brainwash people and trying to demonize anyone who isn't on board with it. But yeah, that's exactly the problem, isn't it? The internet has opened up everything where all ideas are available. Anyone who can get the biggest audience is the popular view. You can't really have gatekeepers. It's not like TV where you can pump out certain messages and everything's time scheduled and this is on at this time and this is on at that time and every day they're just pumping out a message every day. No, now all messages are available at all times. You can tune in whenever you want. And certain things gather a big audience and other things don't gather a very, very big audience. So what are the people that aren't gathering the audience doing? They're trying to shut down the people with the bigger audience. Go, get out! This is ours! We're gatekeepers. And they've squished everyone down into this, forced them into an alternative media. So now it just so happens that all the right-wingers are getting the bigger audience. And the lefties don't like that. So they have to squash them out and make out they're the worst people ever. And although they were sort of succeeding with that, they just make themselves look bad because they're going on about democracy and freedom of speech while they do the opposite and just don't care about democracy and don't care about freedom of speech. So then they have to change that and go, no, we're defending science. Like I said, COVID was a godsend for lefties. It's like, no. And they politicised the virus straight away. This is why all the right-wingers, all the people that don't wear masks and don't take the vaccine are on the right, and all the people that are going along with it happen to be on the left. Do you think this is a coincidence? So anyway, I promise I'm going to talk about all of that in the next episode.